So I got a chance to play a game called Backbeat, and it really is like a G-rated version of my own youth, to be honest. But there are a couple major issues with this game. Let's take a closer look and see if these problems in fact hit a sour note for you, or you can solo over them like a rubbish rhythm guitarist. We'll find out. I have to say this one thing before we get going. Guys, I'm so proud of all of you and the community that we're building. We are so close to 1,000. I honestly didn't think we would ever be this close. I know that for a lot of people, 1,000's not a big number, but I never really thought that we would ever get to that point. So just the fact that we're at 830 or something like that is just amazing. Appreciate each and every one of you and all of you guys who subscribe. I wanted to get that out of the way first. Usually I leave that at the end. But honestly, I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that. So anyway, with Backbeat, it's a very interesting game. Now, this is a game about a jazz bassist at the beginning, as she's trying to figure out how to add more members. Now, her name is Watts, and she's been a bass player for quite a while, and you can tell that she's really talented. But all she really knows is a few other people, and most of them are not musicians. So through networking and other friends, she finds Toshi, a keyboardist who is so into like synth and keyboard that he built his own keytar. And yes, keytar is a real instrument. I'm not just saying some weird version of guitar. I do mean keytar. And after that they realize, well, they need a backbone. They need the drummer. And so they find token white guy who's kind of big and dumb and athletic, but he's their drummer. Now, I want to just side note here. A lot of people tend to think that drummers are kind of big and bulky and dumb, but I gotta be honest, every band I've been in, the drummers are the most athletic people. Which I guess makes sense that they do make him the athlete of the group, because that is kind of true. I mean, like my drummer, she was basically always just sweating her ass off, and to the point where she would be playing so much she had like blisters and blood on her hands, as where usually I was just like sitting on my amp. Even though I was the lead guitar player, I still didn't do very much. It definitely didn't break a sweat. Anyway, back to the game. So when you do have your ensemble, you do also realize that you need another guy. You need a soloist, you need someone with flair, and that's where Chaz comes in. He is your saxophonist. Now, all of this doesn't just play out like, oh, we need another guy, let's go get another guy. No, in fact, this is where the storytelling starts. You go from playing with just Toshi in your bedroom to eventually playing like a dive bar, getting criticism from a band you look up to and tell you that, you do need to add another person, going through a lot of the trials and tribulations that you really do find in a band. The people that have stage fright, the people who are just looking to have fun, and then the other ones who are very serious about it going further than that. And all the way to dealing with the ego, the one who knows they're really good and they just have to basically flaunt it, act like they're better than the rest of the band, and how you end up dealing with it. All of these things are story plots in this game that I really appreciate, and like the environments I think are fantastic. Again, a lot of it does remind me of like a rated G version of when I was in a band, in my, time of playing dive bars and playing places you wouldn't expect to play, but you were still there, maybe playing in front of 15 people, but it was important, and it still sucked, and you were nervous, and it was all sorts of issues that happen, and nothing ever goes the way that you plan it to. But now all of this kind of just sets the stage for how we got here. How do we do this? What's the gameplay like? Well, it's basically a gigantic puzzle game. See, when you start off, you're just in control of Watts, the bass player, and you have to find a path to get to a designated area. And once you do that, then a song will play. That's the song you basically wrote while creating this path. And as you add in members, there's different caveats, different ways that they walk, different varieties of hindrances or even bonuses for their movement that actually ultimately help you get through this puzzles. And as you add more characters in, it does get a lot more complicated. And I swear to God, there's a part in a parking lot with gates, like for parking lot gates and stuff. It just, I'm still have like PSD over that level. I tried it so many times, and yet, as frustrating as it is, when you finally get it done, it's awesome, and you created this song out of all of it as well. I think that what they've done here is amazing, and I hope that they create more. Like, I want to see a metal one, a rock one, a punk one, blues, all sorts of these. Like, they could be so much fun, and the music in them is really on point. Whoever is actually playing these instruments They are definitely really talented. Now, I don't care if they use the same characters or you come up with completely new characters, you change the stories, you add DLC, whatever they do, I really hope they don't stop with just this. As where I do love jazz music and I find it to be very inspirational, I also would like to see other stories, other aspects of this game. Maybe like a poor group of kids from South California playing punk music. That would be interesting. You know, I understand you want to work within certain limits, not maybe make it mature, but still have just other stories, other bands, other things, because what they got here is honestly kind of genius. I mean, at its core, it's a puzzle game, and it's very accessible because the actual mechanics of the puzzles are pretty simplistic, at least enough to get you going, and then you start reaching into the more difficult areas, but the point is to get a newcomer started, it's pretty easy. This makes a great platform to tell other stories, for character development, for building characters, for a whole array of just different genres musically. Now, I did say that there were two major issues with this game. The first one, and maybe this one isn't a problem for most people, but it is for me. The text dialogue was way too fast. Trying to read it and catch up, I know I missed multiple things in the story, and I didn't ever find an ability to just stop it and to manually control how fast it goes. And since it's not voice acted, you're basically forced to have to read it. And so without being able to stop it or slow it down, it was easy to kind of miss certain things that were said. Now, my other big issue for it, and I think this is probably the most major issue, is price. The game is $29.99. Now, granted, visually, it looks great. The music is obviously the star of the show. The writing is done really well. Storytelling, all of these things. Performance, by the way. Performance is great. Never had a single problem with that. But the game will take you probably 8 to 12 hours to beat. It kind of depends. It took me a little bit longer because, well, I used to huff paint as a baby, but I really do think that $30 price tag is going to be an issue for some people, especially because this game is creative, it's unique, it's different. Well, $30 for an indie game that's different, that's a big investment. That's really going out on a limb for a game that you're not really sure about. So I would at least hope that they put a pretty big sale on it and maybe get more people playing it, more people talking about it, because it's a really good game and I hope that it's not overlooked. In fact, to the point, like I said, I hope they make more of them. But I love gaming, I love music, and this was just a real win-win for me. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Are you interested in picking it up? Is this a game that you've been looking at, or have you never even heard of this game? Anything and everything down below in the comment section, I really appreciate. And by the way, if I had to give it a number score, I would give it an 8 out of 10, only because it's a very good game, but the value, that just really hurts it for its final score, and also the dialogue speed. I wish that was something you could control. But anyway, guys, you have a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining me for this review of Backbeat. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.